The Neo 9 has a flat front and back with two large separate housings for the two camera sensors. The dimension of the smartphone comes in at 163.5 by 75.7 by 8 millimeters. The 8.3mm version has a faux leather finish in bright red and contrasting white. It's probably the best looking one among a choice between black and blue. The faux leather variant weighs at 196 grams, whereas the standard model comes in at 190 grams. The ports and buttons are carried on from the Neo 8, with the SIM slot taking its place beside the Type-C port. There's also an IR blaster, along with the secondary noise cancellation mic at the top. Other than that, the minimal front bezel and even weight distribution make for a premium mid-range smartphone. The display on the Neo 9 is a 6.78 inches LTPO AMOLED panel with standard features like 1B colors, 144Hz refresh rate, HDR10+ support, and 1400 nits of HBM. What's interesting here is the inclusion of an LTPO panel. Even many high-end smartphones these days don't come with this feature. Needless to say, it'll definitely help conserve a lot of battery on the 1260 by 2800 pixels and 453 ppi density. The display also has the new PWM dimming feature. It essentially dims out the blacks entirely by varying the electric pulse on the individual LEDs. The result is striking low brightness in dark environments and true black contrast. There's a dual-lens camera on the Neo 9, with the main camera being a 50-megapixel f1.9 wide angle and 1.49-inch aperture sensor. The secondary shooter is 8-megapixel f2.2 with a 119-degree field of view. Both the main and the secondary camera uses IMX sensors from Sony for improved camera performance. The pictures on the Neo 9 can be defined as detailed, bright, and full of vibrancy in well-exposed lighting. The brightness can be a bit overpowering at times with overexposure of the shadows. Regardless, the dynamic range was balanced and the pictures had a slightly warm tone to them. The results were similar in low light as pictures looked too well exposed at times. As for videography, the Neo 9 supports 8K at 30 FPS and 4K and 1080p at 60 FPS, thanks to the gyro EIS and OIS. However, the 4K and 1080p videos came out much more stable compared to the 8K ones. There's also a 16-megapixel f2.5 generic front camera shooter for casual selfies. This sensor can shoot 1080p footage at 30 FPS. The processor on the Neo 9 is Qualcomm SM8550AB Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 based on the 4nm architecture. For most of 2023, every premium Android flagship smartphone came with 8 Gen 2 processors. So in a sense, the Neo 9 brings flagship-grade processing power in a premium mid-range budget. The octa-core processor has a 3.2 GHz Cortex-X3 with Adreno 740 GPU on board. There's also a dual-core Q1 chipset to aid in display and gaming, and Q Neo 9 runs on Origin OS 4 on top of Android 14. The combined result is a blazing fast smartphone that can easily manage anything and everything that's thrown at it. Day-to-day activities are a breeze to navigate thanks to the high refresh rate panel and quick animations. The gaming experience on the Neo 9 is also top-notch. The smartphone was able to run every major title like Genshin Impact, PUBG, and Asphalt 9 at the max settings. There's a 6K Canopy VC liquid cooling system on the Neo 9, which does an incredible job at keeping the thermals at a minimum even after a continued hour of gaming. Overall, the performance of the Neo 9 has been no less than a flagship in any way. The iQOO Neo 9 comes with a 5160 mAh battery on board. The smartphone supports up to 120 watts wired flash charge, which can take it from 1 to 49% in 9 minutes. It has a reverse wired charging facility.